the meat turns kind of a brown color, and it's just tender. You can just cut it with a fork.
What do they cut the heads off with? Chainsaws?
No, actually, I could cut a moose's head off with a pocket knife.
Really?
Yeah. You go into the vertebrae and you separate the vertebrae right around and cut his head off.
The same thing you do with a deer?
Yeah. Now,
Meister, come here, Teen.
to give you an idea,
Tina.
the biggest
Come here,
moose
baby.
that we ever brought in,
Come on, Tina.
the
Weena.
spread was 68 inches. Now that's 5 feet 8 inches.
That's his rack, right?
That's right. The rack weighed 130 some pounds.
Woo!
Wow.
The rack, his horns
That's
weighed
what it did,
130 some pounds.
Ain't that much weight.
Man, I wouldn't want to have to pack that
Wow.
sucker.
Yeah.
How much meat was in something like that?
All right. At that time, we would fly the meat in, and we were charging 15 cents a pound to fly it in. There was 1,020 pounds with the hide on it, the quarters and pieces that we cut up in that moose. Now, so many guys, you know, up there, they'd say, "Oh, that it dressed out 800, 900." They're full of shit. The average moose, when you get it to the goddamn back to the lake and skin it, you're looking at 500, 550, 600 pounds maximum of meat.
Wow.
You know.
And the rest of it's just waste, huh?
Well, we're talking
When I
about
have
after
the
it's gutted
lambs
and
done,
skinned.
it's about
She has not.
You know.
60,
Maybe before the gutting and
50
skin, they
to
weigh over 1,000
60%
pounds.
waste.
Yeah. Yeah.
So whatever the lamb weighs,
So they weigh half of
we can
You get
expect
half of
about
what the
40
moose
to
weighs in,
50%
really,
of it.
Probably. I never, of course, never weighed a gut pile. I don't know. We're ahead.
Tina's never taken heartworm pills, has she?
Tina has never taken heartworm pills.
Okay, I'm gonna put her inside now because
What do
it's time
you-
for the skins to come out.
make like roast out of moose, like you would a deer.
Oh, they have all the different
Well,
parts.
You can
Let's
make
see
like
what-
dried.
I had the ideal
Stuff like
situation.
She's on the phone, right?
My brother
Have
owned
you guys found
a
a trip then?
swanky restaurant with a
Sort of.
cooling room, a
reschedule.
freezer room, a meat tenderizer, a hamburger machine. And I'd go down there at 2 o'clock. We'd bring our caribou and moose in. We'd hang it in the cooling room for 10 days. Then at 2 o'clock in the morning, we'd get up and go down there, and we'd cut all of our steaks. We'd freeze it. Then, and we'd cut any of it that we were going to make steaks. We'd freeze it, and we'd use the big bandsaw to make steaks. The hamburger machine, we'd buy a bunch of beef fat. We'd add the beef fat to the hamburger and make our own hamburger. These kids grew up on, Sherry and Susan grew up on, Jeannie grew up on
We never
hamburger
had
from
beef.
moose and caribou.
No, the hamburger from moose and caribou tastes better than
Moose.
deer.
Yeah,
That's
hamburger
deer
from moose
hamburger.
tastes a great
And
deal
And
like
also, there was
like
some
beef.
kind of sausage that you had made.
we'd
and it
make
was
caribou
good.
sausage.
I liked
Caribou.
caribou.
Sausage.
Yeah.
I remember that.
I remember you'd bring home the animals, or the meat, and hang outside.
That's where you get that
To
wildness
cure.
from, huh? Eating all
And
that
I
wild
remember
meat.
one night, in the middle of the night, you had to get up with a gun because some other animals, like wolverines, were coming to get our meat.
Yep.
And you had to shoot it.
Just like
That's
in
right.
Old Yeller.
That's
right.
true, right? I remember this.
Yes, that's right. By the way, the wolverine is the most vicious animal on 4 feet for his weight.
Wolverine.
How big is a
I've seen them on
Wolverine? Worse than a
the
badger?
nature shows, and they are bad.
They're
his
worse than a
weight.
badger.
Size.
Badgers are mean.
Size.
Really? How big are they?
John said they
They
will
about the
kill
size
a
of a
bear.
badger?
That's like
Yeah.
a big
They're
raccoon.
Now,
small.
I didn't
Very,
see
very
this.
mean.
That's a mean
There was a
animal.
little guy by the name of Bobby Burkholder. He was a game warden. And him and I became pretty good friends.
makes
They
them
would
so
come in
vicious?
and they would confiscate meat. They would use my meat
For the
house
size on that.
to hang the meat. Bobby Burkholder had a 150 cub like me. And he was about as crazy as I was at that time. And Bobby took pictures. A goddamn
They won't attack
wolverine
you
tangled
anymore,
with
they
a
don't
grizzly
mess with them.
bear over a kill. The grizzly bear had
Really?
killed a caribou. The wolverine come in and they got in a fight. Okay. The bear killed the wolverine right there. But the bear was dead out there about 100 yards. That wolverine had completely gutted that bear. in the process of that bear killing him.
But the bear won the fight. But
The one won the fight, but he died anyway. That Wolverine killed him. A goddamn grizzly bear that weighed about 600 pounds.
Yeah. Whoa.
That Wolverine killed him.
strange. Some small animal can do that to a big animal like that.
They must have hellaciously sharp paws.
Old Whitey and I.
They could get back.
And an attitude, yeah.
Who is Whitey?
Whitey was my partner in my guide service. What's that?
What's his last name? Thanks a lot, Dad.
He's right there.
John, is this the person you know?
Whitey was my partner in the
Whitey?
guide service.
Whitey?
Okay.
And Whitey was about you got to realize at that time I was about half wild as anybody you ever knew, and just about as crazy. I'd pull more stuff that you wouldn't believe. I'd take off in a blinding snowstorm, and everybody said, "Look at that crazy son of a bitch." But they didn't know what I knew. I knew every bush and stump back there for 100 miles. If I get up in the air, I can see down beautiful through that snowstorm. I just can't see ahead. So you better know where you're at. Well, I knew every goddamn hill and hummock and every lake and that flat. So I'd take off in a blinding snowstorm, you know, and make a big impression on the people, and go back in there and come back out with a couple of caribou, and them guys, that was a regular hero. Jesus Christ, how did you do it? You know, I wasn't about to tell them that I ain't got good visibility down. You come in and land, you can see straight down, no problem. Let's come right in and land, you know.
Right? They got 2 horns.
Caribous, don't they have the long?
They got
What?
They got 2 horns. They don't have racks like deers or
What, caribou?
Caribou.
Oh no, they got beautiful racks.
Do they?
Yeah. John and I were talking today. John, I took John back in there, and he got goddamn near a world record rack. Oh man, that sucker was over 5 foot. Just beautiful. And I'll be goddamn one of my hunters, non-resident hunters, condoed John out of that rack.
Really?
Yeah, I flew the rack out, and old John, this hunter, give him a big story, and the next thing I know, old John would give him that rack. And old John regrets it to this day. He brought it up. You know, his mind is fine. He brought up about that rack. He said, "God damn me," he said, "I give that world record rack away." Now, to give you an idea, John and I, or Whitey and I were flying, and we had hunters all through the back country. We're looking at thousands of caribou. They're migrating in off the glaciers. They make this massive move once a year. And Jesus Christ, we saw a caribou that just stood out, over 1,000 caribou. He had a rack out there so far I couldn't see it. And old Whitey, he's on the radio. "Do you see what I see?" And I said, "Yeah, look at that goddamn rack." So we figured it out, and they're moving. There's about 1,000 of them in that herd. And this old boy is laying back. He's back maybe 100 caribou, and there's another big one up in the lead. So I said, "Okay, let's land up here on this lake, and the way they're going to come right by us." So man, we landed, and we waited, and here come these caribou, and here come a pretty good sized one, and here come a great big sucker, and we thought that was him. And we both cut loose, and we got him, you know. We run up there, and in the process, we get to the top of the hill, and we look, and here's this monstrous rack going over the next hill.
Oh no.
He had changed positions in that goddamn train while we were setting up. So I stayed and gutted this sucker and got him back to the lake, and Whitey took off, and he's watching the other, the big one. Now there's no question, this guy would have been a world record anyplace, because I mean, we're seeing thousands of caribou a day. We know, you know. When they migrate in, at that time that herd was 60,000 caribou. And I'm out there on the highway, and I would take a resident hunter, and I'd tell him, "You were allowed 3 caribou." And I think we were charging $40 for the first one, and so much for the other 2. Well, we could get 3 caribou, kill them, quarter them out real fast, throw them in the back, and bring the hunter and the caribou out, and we've made ourselves 80 or 90 bucks, and we're just in and out like this, you know.
flying.
When the caribou are migrating. So we know caribou. We're seeing them by the thousands, and this sucker was a world record and then some. Well, Whitey followed that sucker for an hour. He never got close to water again. We're on floats. So he come back, and the next morning we're up at daylight and we're looking for that bugger. He's already migrated up, and he moved out of that flat. He knew he was hunted. He moved out of that flat and he was already headed back up to the glacier country where there was no place we could land. And we finally lost him up there next to the glacier. And I mean, if we'd have got him, we'd have been in the world record book from now on. It's just unbelievable how big that goddamn rack was, you know.
So what year were you over there having that this business? What year?
What year? All right, this was 56, 57, 58, and 59 into 60.
Wow.
I was there.
Show you what an old fart I am.
My father went in 1928.
Your father to Alaska?
He went in the Lone Star ship. That's that's right now port in San Diego.
I was around. I was a year old.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was able to go in that ship that he...
Where's Robin? I'm out of booze.
Where's Robin? He needs another drink.
I think. I don't know.
Prize for you. We talked about this.
I wish
And then Jim died.
And
a whole
wanted to do it.
era of time died with my brother.
Yeah.
Because if we'd all got up there when he was alive, you wouldn't believe it. You're going to go out on a $500,000 boat. We're going to tell you what you're going to catch before you ever get there. We have places where we go, and we'll guarantee you that you're going to catch 100-pound halibut as soon as you hit bottom. Then we go into a glacier bay with the glacier right there and big icebergs floating. Got 100 shrimp pots, and we're going to pull the shrimp pots, and we're going to tell you that you're going to get a pound of shrimp tails in every pot. You know, this is living. If I had a lot of money, I would be there. I would spend every summer in Seward, in a boat, out living. And then I'd come out here for the winter.
I don't know though. I remember you coming back from Alaska a couple times, and it's like, God, I'm glad to be home. I remember that one time you got that fish poisoning from cleaning those fish.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Got real sick.
Yeah, this
When you went for halibut fishing, it's in the ocean, but it's like a back channel. You know
No,
what I mean?
we're fishing right out in the open Gulf.
I would like to
that's
still
in-
take a trip to Alaska though.
My buddy, he went
Supposed to be the
fishing
most
up in
beautiful.
Alaska, and he's fishing like off a back channel of the ocean.
And I
Yeah.
love seafood.
Nothing but mountains
and
around you and stuff. He told
probably
me it was
stand
the
at the
ocean, it
ports
looked like a
when,
lake.
you know, when there's salmon season.
I've
going
seen
and-
times that you'd walk right off the back deck if you weren't careful, a mirror. But it's a rarity in the Gulf of Alaska. The big problem with the Gulf of Alaska is that it's not like here. The storms originate there and they come down and they're predicting here what they're going to do. They're going to move here, they're going to move there. But they're originating there, mister. You better be on that barometer 24 hours a day. If that barometer starts falling, you better pull your gear and hightail.
Halibut's good eating fish.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I like salmon.
You know, I got that
Yeah, it's the
picture of the
best fish I've ever
376
ate.
pounder.
You had salmon.
That was the biggest one
big
we ever got
salmon
aboard,
like
but we had them 500, 600 pounds right to the damn bull rail, and we couldn't handle them. You know.
Halibut, the white meat.
Oh, they're the only fish that you can ice down for 21 days.
The wind is
You
howling.
clean them, you pack ice in their
60
belly,
miles an hour,
you
and it is raining
pack ice
and
over them, and they're good for 21 days with no problem. That's the only fish you can do that.
They said
The others
with
with
snappers are
with
good
salmon,
too.
what do you go back to
Oh,
port?
salmon, you got to go within 24 hours to get them in. Yeah.
You would think the ice would freeze them, and you could freeze salmon.
Okay, you can do that, yeah.